In alhamdulillah wa salat wa salam ala wa rasulullah. We're continuing with the topic of the principles of Islam. And today, what I want to speak about briefly is grave worship. And this may seem like a strange topic to many people. They might ask, why are we talking about grave worship when we know as Muslims we're not supposed to worship the grave? Well, guess what? You'd be surprised how many Muslims actually worship the grave. You go to Muslim countries, you will find them at the grave worshiping, putting food on the grave like you see here, putting flowers on the grave, talking to dead people and everything else. So it happens. And that's why it needs to be addressed. We have a hadith whereas once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told that some Muslims had traveled to Ethiopia and they saw a church that had pictures and statues in it. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a righteous or pious worshiper dies, people build places of worship over their grave. And then they put pictures and statues on the grave. And this is the worst thing you can do in the sight of Allah. Because not only are you worshiping graves, but you're also making images and statues trying to create what only Allah can create. So this is why as Muslims we do not build statues, we don't draw pictures or paint pictures of people or animals, because this is competing with Allah. And Islam does not forbid us from having pictures of our loved ones, on our cell phones or whatnot, in a book that we keep in a drawer or something. But you have to even be careful with that, because one of the things that we have a hard time accepting as human beings is death. And oftentimes a person that you love may die and you will miss that person. And you'll sit around looking at the pictures of that person, remembering them, and then it'll start you to question why Allah took that person away from you. And then it'll lead to you wanting to talk to that person, wanting to pray to that person, and etc. So we have to be very careful with pictures and stuff like that. Okay, so again, and this is how people end up worshiping the dead. Whenever you fail to accept the reality that a person is no longer a part of this world, when you fail to accept the reality that someone is gone and you want to talk to that person still, you want to hold on to that person's image and all of that, thinking that person's going to hear you and see you and all of that, this is when you end up worshiping them. And this is also why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he knew that the time had come that Allah would soon take his soul, he told the people, he said, may Allah curse the Jews and the Christians because they took the graves of their prophets as places of worship. And then he warned the Muslims, don't do to me what the Christians did to Jesus and what the Jews did to Moses and other prophets. When I'm dead and gone, I am dead and gone. Do not call upon me. Do not talk to me. Do not worship me. The only one worthy of worship is Allah. So this is why as Muslims, guys, we have to be careful when we're dealing with graves and all of that. In fact, right before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, he said, I am free and clear with Allah of having any of you think that you are so close to me that you can worship me. He said, if I were to be close to anyone, it would be Abu Bakr. Do not do to me what the people before you did to their prophets by turning my grave into a place of worship. Beware, Do not take any grave as a place of worship. I forbid you from doing so. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear to the people that he is not to be worshiped under no circumstance. We do not call upon the Prophet Muhammad when we are in need. We do not call upon him for help. We don't go to his grave crying and screaming over it, wishing to be with him or any of that. All of this is forbidden in Islam, and to do this makes you a person who worships the graves. But again, you can travel to Muslim countries today and you will see a lot of Muslims doing this stuff. Worshiping the graves of not only the Prophet Muhammad, but his companions too. And not only are we forbidden from worshiping, but we're also forbidden from praying at the grave too. We don't sit there praying at the graveyard, praying in graves like you see this man doing here. And we don't build places of worship around the grave either, like this man is doing here. This is a Muslim man in a Muslim country. And look at how they've built a place of prayer at this grave. We don't do that, guys. We do not pray at cemeteries. We do not pray at graves. In fact, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the most evil men are those upon whom the signs of the hour will come, and they will take graves as places of worship. And this is happening in the Muslim lands. Here's a picture of it right here. So again, guys, you want to pray, you pray at home. Pray at the mosque. Pray anywhere else but at a grave. And we do not build a mosque over a grave either. We do not turn a grave into a place of worship. This is why we don't raise our graves. This is why we don't put tombstones on our graves. This is why we don't go around putting flowers and stuff on the graves, because all of this leads to worship. And I hope this is clear with everybody. So again, this is why it's important to review the basic principles of Islam. We think we know our religion so well. But if you look at the things we're doing, you realize that we really don't. We really do not understand the basic tenets of Islam. We associate partners with Allah all the time. Not only when it comes to doing good deeds, not only when it comes to our obedience, we'll obey others over Him, but we even associate partners by thinking that people who are dead can benefit us when they cannot. They're not even a part of this world anymore. So we'll stop right here for today. I want you guys to ponder what we discussed here. Tomorrow I'm going to give you a quiz and we'll continue with more basic tenets of faith. So we'll stop right here. If you guys have any questions or comments,